What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live on a sleepy Monday morning from Site B on a small island off the coast of Costa Rica. Here on the 6th day of January 2023, it's feels like 64 degrees and sunny, but we are having some major wind action coming off the ocean, so ooh, spooky. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere with that one. Anyways, it's Monday in most parts of the world. It's also Super Bowl weekend, and we're beginning the long slog towards that most dreaded of holidays, Valentine's Day, which means it's time to take a look at what's going on in the tabletop role-playing game news here on Monday at the beginning of the week, knowing full well anything I say will most likely be changed by the time I finish recording this, because of how chaotic the industry is lately. But let's take a look at the stories that are spearheading this week and see where we think, things are going to go. So first, let's take a look at Hasbro stock, shall we? Ameritrade. I should have done this before I logged on, but Ameritrade. Let's go do. Oh wait, I don't know. You guys just see my password? Who cares? Oops. Hasbro stock down $1.62. Not good. That's a huge drop. It's almost $2 from where it was yesterday. Why is this important? I don't know. Because it's the thing that seems to be spearheading the direction of the gaming world right now. But first and foremost, Kobolds Ate My Baby is coming back. Kobolds Ate My Baby is an obscure comedy role-playing game that came out a while back. It is actually the grandfather of my Minions on a Mission campaign setting, available for sale on Big Geek Emporium. Links down below. The whole idea of, specific single race-based role-playing game, and then base it on sort of a not so competent race like goblins or kobolds. This is one of the first ones that I ever saw. I'm sure there were others, and I know people have done goblin-centric adventures and probably other goblin-centric role-playing games. So my minion-centric campaign setting probably isn't that original, but I'm having fun creating it, and hopefully you're having fun buying it. If you haven't bought it yet, head on over to Big Geek Emporium and buy my merch. It's all on sale. Geek link down below. So this is back. That's cool. Okay. We have some more stuff regarding the OGL 1.0 nonsense of January. This is going to be a very, very long, bitter, cold winter for role-playing. We have some more articles on the OGL 1.0 and the whole reason this thing started. Like, what did irrevocable mean, and how it regards to what the law is regarding contract law, what Wizards of the Coast actually said in the original OGL all those years ago, and what Wizards of the Coast is trying to take away and change during the month of January that we fought so hard to maintain. And instead, we got the 5.2 SRD. We also have some more information on the Alta Fox and the proxy war they had last year over the control of the board of directors of Hasbro. And that of course, has an effect on what's happening now, because we have these, this large organization that owns 2.3% of Hasbro stock, which doesn't sound like a lot, but is a lot, who have been trying to manipulate the way Hasbro shepherds their various products for the past year, including Magic and Dungeons and Dragons. The open D&D thing, of course, is still going. The D&D Beyond Twitter announced the feedback for the survey for the OGL 1.2. It did not hit the mark. Apparently, the responses were overwhelmingly negative, at which point Wizards of the Coast said they are not going to try and deauthorize the OGL 1.0 anymore. Yeah, the license was going to stand as it is, at least for now, until they try and deauthorize it again in a month or two after the movie comes out, because they're going to want to see how much money the movie makes them before they decide their next step. So this is just a resting period, boys and girls. This is just a resting period, because they have not said the OGL 1.0 is 100% revocable. They just said, we're not going to mess with it anymore for now. Instead, they released the entire SRD 5.1 into the Creative Commons, which means anybody and their dog can now supposedly use the 5.1 rule set to make stuff that is 5.1 or 5.1 adjacent, which is great if you're writing product for 5.1. If you're writing product for, say, an OSR game based upon the 3.5, or if you just happen to have a game that uses the OGL but doesn't have nothing to do with 5.1, like, I don't know, Mutants and Masterminds, then you're still sitting going, yeah, but what else? I mean, still, can we still use the OGL, right? We can still use it, right? We can still, you're not, right? Or do we have to use this new? No, wait, what? No, I do. Just go. Okay. So yes, but if you are a third-party publisher who wants to continue to make stuff for 5th edition D&D after the end of this year, when Wizards of the Coast brings 5th edition D&D to an end, you can, for now. And the big confusion amongst all that, 400 pages, is the fact there were certain names within there that we couldn't use before. Names like Beholder, Mindflayer, and Count von Strahd, and places and locations and other things that up to now were sort of verboten. You know, I could make a D&D adjacent product that had single-eyed tentacle monster, but I couldn't call it a beholder, and I couldn't depict it as the way the beholder is depicted in the Monster Manual. And I got to understand, the word beholder, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, D&D doesn't know, because that word has existed forever. You know, in the eyes of the beholder, behold the caves of Moria. I am beholden to, that word they don't know. But they own the very specific image and presentation and abilities that we associate with the word beholder when we think of D&D. So Wizards of the Coast owns that version of that idea. The big globby thing with the eye in the center and the little eyes on top, and each eye shoots out a different ray that does things. That's theirs, but they don't know the word. But up to now, it's sort of been verboten to use words like Mindflayer or von Strahd or Waterdeep or whatever. But now they're there, and there's some confusion because it's like, okay, you're giving this to us as a gift, something we've never been able to use before. I mean, we can't use the stat block as is, but the idea we can use, right? Yeah, is that what you're saying? Or are you just saying now we can use the word, but we still can't use the idea and the stat block? Because I can call something a beholder, but can I call it a beholder and also have it have the single eye and the eye stalks that do rays, or no? What are you saying? Can I have a bad guy named Count von Strahd, but I can't use what von Strahd's imagery or his exact write-up because his write-up has changed multiple times, but I can use the name. So what does this mean? Was it a gift? Was it an olive branch? Did the poor kid who got stuck having to copy and paste the SRD from wherever it was onto D&D Beyond just not catch those? And, you know, now they're scrambling on Monday going, oh, crap, we put stuff in there we didn't mean to. What are we going to do? Or was there something more insidious to it? Some people, including myself, have suggested that the reason why they're making words available that we couldn't use before is because they're trying to disassociate with themselves with those words and the problematic images associated with those words, so that when 6th edition D&D comes out, it can have brand new things that have absolutely no connection to the problematic past of the hobby. And you might think this is a far-fetched idea, except, of course, it is pretty similar to what Games Workshop did with Warhammer 40 and Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer Age of Sigmar. They made a whole bunch of stuff suddenly free to the general populace, and then they just ended the license and started a brand new license with all sorts of new stuff, which meant, okay, sure, you can hold the old thing, but it's not canon. It's not official. So could this be some insidious attempt of theirs to just dump all the problematic imagery like Mind Flayers and Von Strahd onto an unsuspecting 5.1 populace? So when 6th edition comes out, they can go, look, we don't have brain-eating tentacle monsters in our 6th edition D&D anymore, but that bad 5e edition thing that guy over there made, that's got, evil brain-eating tentacle monsters in it. See, we have disassociated ourselves with that imagery, but that guy's still using it. He's bad. Could that be it? Now, some people will say, well, Wizards of the Coast isn't that smart to do something that is insidious and clever. At which point I'll remind you that, oh, yeah, they have been doing some pretty insidious and clever things after all. So maybe they're not as dumb as we think they are. I mean, they're still pretty dumb, but I don't know. Of the three scenarios, probably the middle scenario is the most likely. Probably it wasn't an intentional gift. Probably it's not some insidious plot to get to dump problematic content onto our laps. So when they move forward, they can say, look, it's gone. Probably most likely it was the poor kid whose job it was to copy and paste the SRD from whatever it was stored onto wherever they moved it to, and he just missed it, or she just missed it, or they just missed it. 80% that's what happened. 10% Wizards gave it to us as a gift and just didn't tell us they were giving it to us as a gift. I'm going to give you a present, but I'm not going to tell you about it. It's like Easter eggs. I'm going to hide them somewhere. Or 10% was some insidious. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. These are all images that have Wizards of the Coast has had problematic issues with. Ooh, Mind Flayer's bad. Beholder's bad. Vampire's bad. So let's get rid of them. Let's dump them onto the unsuspecting 5e populace. Look, they're still making content using that problematic imagery. They're bad. But us here at Wizards of the Coast, 6th edition, it's not problematic anymore because we got rid of that. Which is frightening. But who knows? I'm probably wrong. But while Wizards of the Coast has been floundering and sales of Wizards of the Coast product continue to be pretty damn low, we are hearing rumors of warehouses filled with Wizards of the Coast product not moving. The rest of the gaming world is having a brand new renaissance. Paizo has sold out of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and they will not have another imprint run for at least another month or so. Apparently, they sold 6 months worth of Paizo Pathfinder product in the 3 weeks of the OGO crisis. Call of Cthulhu has reported record sales, including the starter sets. Reprints are already going into order for the Call of Cthulhu stuff. People all over the world are going, oh yeah, Call of Cthulhu. That other game. And even obscure ones like Level Up 5e and GURPS and other games are just recording record sales and record responses and warehouses emptying out and people going, a whole new world of games I can play that aren't D&D. What a great time it is to realize there are other products in the world besides this one. I'm pretty sure that's not how the song goes. So congratulations to each and every company that was able to take advantage of this. Let's keep that ball rolling. And of course, in response to the continuing nonsense of the OGL, we have all the other companies who are announcing their counter product to, I think I got to sneeze. Maybe? No. Their counter product to OGL 1.05.1 SRD. Level Up 5e has come up with their system reference document. You remember Level Up 5e, the game that I've talked about almost every week for the past 4 years, because these guys advertise the hell out of the product that nobody has ever actually seen or played. They've got a system reference document up. Paizo's got their system reference document, plus Paizo has the ORC coming out. Kobold Press has announced they're working on Project Black Flag, but they're still also going to be making 5e stuff. But then Kobold Press has also signed up for the ORC, so there's a little confusion there because you've signed up for the Paizo ORC thing. You've got your own Project Black Flag thing coming out, but you're still going to be making 5e stuff. Well, we knew you were going to be making 5e stuff because you said we've got pre-existing 5e product contracts we have to finish, but then going forward, everything's going to be under the Project Black Flag label after we sell out and finish publishing the 3, 4, 8 products that are already in the pipe. So they already had 5e product that they had to finish making and get out there. So let's say they had 5. But once those 5 are gone, what they originally said is anything we make after this, It's going to be under the Project Black Flag, our own system. But then a day later, Cobalt Press has signed on to the ORC as one of the 1,000 companies that have decided to be part of this movement. But then a couple of days later, Cobalt Press said, no, we're still making Project Black Flag. And then a couple of days later, after the SRD thing was announced, they're like, we're still making Project Black Flag, but we're also going to be making 5e compatible stuff. At which point people are going, but you were already making 5e compatible stuff. You said you were going to stop and do Project Black Flag. But then you said you were going to do ORC. But then you said you're going to do Project Black Flag. And now you're saying you're going to do 5e stuff. Is that 5e stuff just going to be under Project Black Flag and be 5e adjacent, but have your own spin on it so it's different enough that it can fall under Project Black Flag? Or is it just going to be normal 5.1 SRD 5e, and Project Black Flag is just the label for all the new product that you're making that is 5e, while everything else is going to be under a different product line, like the Midgard stuff? Still be under Midgard, or is Midgard going to fall under Project Black Flag? What is Project Black Flag? Is it an SRD? Is it a game system? Is it just a name? I'm very confused. Same with ORC. What is ORC? Is it a SRD OGL that you guys are making? Is it a game system? Should I buy Pathfinder now, or should I wait to see what's going on with ORC? It's a very exciting time, but for those of us with the IQ of a rock like me, it's also very confusing because we know that things are happening, but we're still sort of unsure what's happening. But we can be sure of one thing. It's going to be a very exciting year for role-playing games, and it's going to be a very bumpy ride. And I will have plenty of crap to talk about. So in the end, thank you. Hey, Keys of the Golden Vault's coming out. Nobody cares. There are some people out there saying they already have physical copies of Keys of the Golden Vault, as this happens every time something comes out from Wizards of the Coast. We got those people, you know, the ones who go into the store, pick up the store's copy, take a picture of themselves holding it, and then leave the store without buying it. But no, it's not out yet. It won't be out till next week. The digital copy is available. So if you want to get the digital copy of Keys of the Golden Vault, you can go to D&D Beyond and get the 13 adventure module campaign thingy that is all about crime, but not bad crime. Because remember, crime is evil, and people don't do evil in D&D anymore. So this is all good, fun, hijinks crime. Like Leverage, where nobody really gets hurt. The Marvel Multiverse role-playing game is still a thing, despite all the horrible reviews it got when it first came out. You remember this. It was the playtest we had to spend $9 on Amazon to go, wow, this sucks. And we really have no say in the playtest. We just have to fill out a generic online thing, and you're not going to use any of our names in it anyway. So why did I just pay $9 for a really bad rule set? Then they changed it a few times, but unfortunately, there are several things in this game that are gimmicky for gimmick's sake, and it's still based upon the 616 system. So yeah, it's still a thing. And they're pushing it forward. It was supposed to come out in August, but now it's coming out any day now. And it'll feature a campaign setting as well, featuring everybody's favorite mutants, the X-Men. Now, I don't know where in the X-Men timeline this will be set. Obviously, it's got Jubilee, and she's still got her powers, so it'll be set before she became a vampire, I guess. And there's Jane Grey. There's Nightcrawler with a mustache. I don't think that's the costume Scott wears anymore. Psylocke looking like a teenager. So I'm not sure if this is the post-Hickman time or pre-Hickman time. Considering the book started work on last year, it should be post-Hickman, but then, you know, I haven't read X-Men in centuries, so I don't know what's going on. Will it be as good as Phase Rip? No, it won't. Andrew McNeil has ceased publishing role-playing game product. Who is Andrew McNeil? He made Zweihander, and he also made Into the Motherlands, and he as well as working on the Oz and Neverland RPGs, both of which were well received. And the Blackbirds role-playing game system, which was the system he used for Zweihander. He says that all the self-publishing and Kickstarters will be fulfilled for the ones he's already taken Kickstarter money for Into the Motherlands and any other projects. But after that, he's done, and they're looking for another publisher to take over Zweihander. You remember Zweihander was the dark European fantasy game that a lot of people compared to Warhammer Fantasy, won a couple awards, stuff like that. Free League has got a box set of Mork Borg stuff called IKHORN. Icorn. Icorn? Sure, corn. Why not? And it's an adventure about corn. No, it's a series of adventures put together in a really cool looking box, all set in the twisted, cursed, demented, dying earth that is Mork Borg, that black metal Camp D20 system of doom. And that's what the box looks like. Icorn. Maybe is that supposed to be icon? Yeah, IKHON. That's icon. Oh, okay, I get it now. I like Icorn better. There is a Fallout the role-playing game Adventure Path coming out from Modifius. It's called Winter of the Atom. It's set for the Fallout role-playing game. Did you know there's a Fallout role-playing game? There is a Fallout role-playing game. Which vault were you found in? I was found in Vault Sandwich. And that seems to be it for all the tabletop role-playing game news. Yes, the Open D&D saga is still going on. We are seeing multiple articles and from the type of places we never thought we'd see D&D mentioned more than just, it's a cultural phenomenon. But no, lots of in-depth articles from places like the Washington Post, the Boston Globe, NBC, CBS, are all looking at this, and all wondering, okay, what does this mean for D&D and Hasbro? And most of the productions that are predicting are saying the same thing, like, things are not looking good. What do they need to do? What's going to happen? Where should they take it? Sure, they offer the gaming community this olive branch, but I think it's a little too little, a little too late. Has Wizards of the Coast destroyed D&D? Has Hasbro destroyed Wizards of the Coast? Is the hobby dead as we know it? What does this mean for the D&D movie and the D&D TV show and the D&D toys and the D&D breakfast cereal? Will the Hasbro police come to your house, knock down your door, take all your D&D stuff and burn it in the street and brand you with a huge letter A? No, they won't. I know there are some doom and gloom tossers out there who are using the OGL nonsense as an excuse to once again attack Hasbro, attack Wizards of the Coast, attack people who work for Wizards of the Coast, attack broadcasters like myself, to spread horrible rumors that, people were burning books and you couldn't play D&D and Hasbro was going to come to your house and take away your golden DM crown, and people were attacking 5e players who still wanted to play 5e, and people were attacking the people who, fought so hard for those 4 weeks in January to make sure that the 5.1 SRD became available to you. But that's all just bullshit and fear mongering. And it's exactly what Wizards of the Coast wants, of course. They want us to be fighting amongst ourselves so we don't notice what they're doing. So yeah, D&D's not dead. It can't die. It literally cannot die. Hasbro would have to literally go to every single house on the planet, go through that house to make sure there's not a single thing in that house that could be used to be played D&D and get rid of it, which of course they don't have the power to, because first Hasbro would have to take over the world and establish a global dictatorship. And if you're going to establish a global dictatorship, that's a really stupid reason to establish one. We are going to take over the world so no one can play D&D. No, it can't happen. It won't happen. As long as there's dice, as long as there's paper, as long as there's, 3 kids with imagination who want to play elves in a forest beating up orcs, D&D won't die. Wizards of the Coast might die. Looking at you, 2027. Hasbro might decide, you know what? We're not going to make this game anymore. which we already said we're not going to do because we're going to make digital D&D. So physical D&D, we're done with. And then they might decide, you know what, this digital D&D thing isn't working. Let's just shelve it for a couple of years like we did before and focus on something else that will actually make us money, like Peppa Pig. They could do that tomorrow. D&D will not die. You are still going to be able to play your favorite version of D20 game with your favorite characters, because all you need is pencil, paper, dice, and an imagination. That's it. Everything else is just butter. So don't worry, okay? I know there's a lot of articles out there about the shepherding and Wizards of the Coast killing D&D and the Boston Globe and the LA Times and the New York Times and this guy and me and that guy over there. And some people are using this as a chance to make themselves more relevant by just spreading lies and misinformation and attacking people. But at the end of the day, no, it's not going to happen. Nobody was trying to kill D&D. Nobody wants the Wizards of the Coast employees to lose their jobs or get hurt. Nobody wants you to burn your books. That was all just sarcasm and hyperbole, you know. And most of us who claim we were throwing away our books or burning our books, we didn't. You know, some of us donated our products to libraries or charity, but, you know, whatever. We didn't burn books. Nobody's going to come in your house and burn your books. Nobody's going to take your DM crown away. And if you are attacking 5e players for still playing 5e, if you are attacking Wizards of the Coast employees for trying to do their job and trying to keep this hobby alive, if you are attacking people out there like myself and calling us like Nazis or whatever, because we spent 4 weeks fighting for you to have the freedom to continue to play D&D the way you want to play it, stop. And if you're listening to these people, stop. Just it's silly. Let's just move on to the next and most important topic of the day, shall we? Which of course is buy my merch. That's right. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to the OGGM Adventures yet, please take a moment to reach out and subscribe. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything and it does me a huge favor. This year's goal, of course, is 1 billion subs by January 1st, 2024. Obviously, I know I can't reach that, but if you're going to have a goal, might as well have a ridiculous one. More realistically, if you do feel like supporting the OGGM Adventures, I've got a lot of ways you can do it, but the best way to do it is to buy my merch. And by merch, I am speaking, of course, of the multiple products I have placed on sale exclusively on Big Geek Emporium. We've got six books of brand new monsters, each built around a specific theme, all in easy to use, easy to download PDF format, all of them for $2. So yeah, support me. Remember, this is my job. Valentine's Day is coming up. More importantly, Super Bowl Sunday is coming up, and I want to be able to buy nachos. So yeah, links down below. Anything else? Anybody got anything that we're talking about? Steve, do you have anything that we're talking about? All right, that's it for today's news. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being part of today's OGGM Adventures. I'll be back with more, I'm sure. So till next time, stay warm, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Remember to buy your sweetheart, if you have one, a Valentine's Day present. And most of all, stay off my lamb, you damn kids.